Okay, so we have already seen the deferral account, I mean accruals account in the general journal. Okay, so even we can generate the deferrals through purchase order also. So we will see that concept and we will see the charges concept. Okay, so the charges over here is nothing but, for example, if you are purchasing the goods from different vendor and he was requesting for the transportation charges, or you are making the insurance on that particular goods or service. Okay, so those are the additional expenses which you will bear. Okay, so how you will record these particular expenses in the 65? So we will see these two concepts. Okay, so the first concept is the deferrals, as we have already seen the journal. So we can schedule the deferrals through the journals, right? So where we will have a deferrals, there is a menu item will be there and we will select the offset account and we will do the invoice, right? So at here we will do the deferrals through purchase order and we will see how we can do that. Okay, so for that, what we will do, we will go to the purchase order. Okay, so for that I will go to the accounts payable, purchase order, all purchase order. Okay, so at here let me quickly create one purchase order. So for creation of purchase order, what I will do, I will click on new and I will select the vendor. Okay, so at here I have selected the vendor as Goat Trading LLC, Computer Trading Trading. Okay, I will click on OK. So at here my purchase order has been created, so I will update the line information. So to update the line information, I need to add a line information over here. Either it may be based on the procurement category or based on the item. So let me select the procurement category. Okay, let me select the item. Okay, so at here I have selected the iPhone 12. Okay, so this particular item have, let me see if I have the variant. There is no variant. Okay, so at here I need to select the site and warehouse. So let me update the site and warehouse. So after updating site and warehouse, I will update the unit price for one quantity. So I'm just updating for one quantity itself. So the iPhone cost is 10 lakhs. Okay, I'm just giving a rough example. I have saved the record and I will confirm this particular purchase order. Oh, 1 minute. Let me disable this particular workflow. 1 minute. Let me recreate it, or let me use some other purchase order. So here I have selected some different product and I have entered the amount and I have clicked on confirm. Okay, so up to here it's straightforward. Uh, you'll do the confirmation. So after that, let me do the product receipt. Okay, so now the purchase order has been confirmed. So let me do the product receipt for this particular purchase order. Okay, so before doing product receipt, so I just want to use the both the case, I mean the charges and even the deferral expenses, how we can do both in one PO. So currently we have created the purchase order. So in this particular purchase order, I need to add the additional fee, okay, or additional charges against this particular purchase order. Either it may be a transportation, either it may be a freight charges, either it may be any other cargo charges or insurance, so which you need to add. So for that, what I will do, I will go to the purchase tab. Okay, in purchase tab you can see the maintain charges, allocate charges. So at here, what you will do, you will allocate the charge against the complete purchase order over here. Like for example, if I click on allocate purchase, allocate charges. Okay, so at here it was asking, do you want to allocate the charges on net amount on all the line? So you will select all, allocate on all the line. Okay, so click on allocate. Okay, so you can see at here you are receiving some error message stating that there is no charges are allocated. So what why there is no charges are allocated? The reason behind is, if you go to the maintain charges, okay, so we have nothing has been defined, so that was the reason it is not allocated. Okay, so in the maintain charges, so you will select the charge code. Like for example, I want to allocate uh, freight charges. Okay, freight charges is nothing but the logistic charges, or even you can select the insurance also, like insurance. Okay, so this is the fixed amount, or you want to give based on the percentage. So if it is a fixed amount, so you will enter the amount directly over here. If it is a based on percentage, then you will select based on percentage, or if you have based on pieces level, so like for 100 pieces the charges will be this much, so you can define in that way. So currently I'm giving as a fixed value, so I will update the value over here as 1000. Okay, as 1000. And after that, if you want to calculate sales tax on this, so you will update this one. So this calculation, how it will calculate, we will see more in future session. Okay, so once I have clicked on save, some information entered invalid, please. Okay, okay, let me remove this each. Okay, so I have saved this particular record. Now if I allocate this particular transaction, let me close this particular error messages. Now if I allocate this particular charges, so what will happen, it will allocate the charges across all the lines that particular 1000. Okay, now if I go to the purchase order tab and if I click on total, now you can see it will show 10 lakhs. It's showing as 10 lakhs over here. Okay, mm, charges has been not allocated, so let me reallocate. 1 minute. So even if you go to the purchase order distribute amount, it should show that particular line, that allocation 1000 is there, right? It will show over here. Yeah, now you can see we have a charges insurance. which we have allocated. This particular line it's not showing in the purchase order level, as I need to reconfirm, I think. Okay, so this is the charge amount line which we have added, allocated to this particular line, all the lines of the purchase order, and you can see the amount is 1000. Even you can allocate the charges across each line level also. Like for example, I want to allocate the freight charges for this particular line. I can do that. For that, we need to go to the uh, update line. Okay, so 1 minute. Yeah, so you can see under financial we have the maintain charges. So at here you will click on this particular maintain charges, and you can allocate this particular maintain charges based on the line level also. Okay, so you can allocate charges either on the purchase order level, and also you can allocate the charges at the individual line level also. Okay, so there are two ways you can allocate the charges. So let me confirm this particular purchase order first, as we have allocated the charges. Okay, so after allocation of charges, let me receive it. So product receipt. Okay, so let me give the product receipt number as 001. Okay, and let me post the product receipt. Okay, so at here it's giving some error. So let's see what was the error over here. So in message details it was stating that the combination of 5% group is not available, and the fiscal period to one is not open. Okay, so the first one you can ignore it, as there are sales tax group SR is not valid, it was stating. And the second error message it's giving as the fiscal period is not open. Okay, so when I say the fiscal period is not open, in the sense, in another tab. Okay, now let me navigate to the general ledger module. Okay, under general ledger module, under calendars, we have ledger calendar. Okay, in ledger calendar, if you see for the 2025 February month, okay, 02 period, for USMF you can see the period status is on hold. Okay, so that was the reason it was giving over here an error message stating that the fiscal period for 2nd Feb, I mean the 1st Feb, is not open. Okay, so in this particular error, what we will do, we will go to the ledger calendar, we will see the period, and we will see the status if it is on hold, so we will change to open. Okay, so we'll change to open and we will save it, and let's do now the product receipt. Okay, you can see the product receipt has been posted successfully. Okay, there is no issue. Now when I'm doing the invoice, okay, so during the invoice time my core deferral will comes part, I mean will be part of this particular deferral. So for that I will go to the generate invoice. Okay, in this particular purchase order invoice, so we will update the invoice number as usual. Secondly, if you go to the line level, we have financial. So under financial we will go to the dispute amount. Okay, in this particular dispute amount it will show you with the all the financial dimension. So currently you can see it is going to the miscellaneous expenses. Okay, so actually it should go to the some temporary account. Okay, temporary account in the sense either you can consider as any prepaid expenses. From prepaid expenses it has to move to the respective actual expenses account. Okay, so how we can configure that? For that you will click on this particular deferral. Okay, you will make deferral as yes. Okay, so currently it is selected as by default the this particular expenses account. The how it has been selected, it is because of one because of the posting profile. So for this particular main account actually it should go to the prepaid insurance account or prepaid expenses account, and from there it has to move. So all the deferrals will be moved in that way. So for that what we need to do, we need to modify first our expenses account to the prepaid expenses. So how we can modify it? So for that we need to navigate the posting profile. Okay, so for that we need to go to the inventory management module. Under inventory management we have under setup we have postings and posting. So this is the posting which we will define for all the group level of the items and categories. So this we have seen during the inventory sessions. So we can define all the group level and category level or individual table level. We can define the posting profile over here, or if you define the posting profile in the item group, so it will automatically populated over here. So this we have discussed during the inventory session. Okay, so in this particular posting tab, so you can see there is a purchase order head. So you will click on this particular purchase order head. Okay, so at here you can see the cost of purchase of product, purchase expenditure for product. You can see at here it is defined as uh, one is raw material, another one it is defined as miscellaneous expenses. Okay, so there is a group called consumable, so it was taking the miscellaneous expenses as the purchase expenditure for product. So at here what I will do, I will add another table. Okay, adding a new record. So at here I am using the table, and at here I am selecting the respective product. Okay, and I'm giving over here the mapping the main account as prepaid. I have selected prepaid other expenses and I have saved the record. Now in this accounting distribution, if I skip this one, okay, let me delete and regenerate the invoice. Okay, now if I go back and regenerate the invoice, so system what it will do, it will take the from the posting profile of this particular table level, as the first priority will be the table level of inside the posting profile. So it will take that particular table level in the my distribution. Okay, let me select manually. The reason why I'm not able to change over here is as we have already done the product receipt, so that was the reason it's not allowing me to change. So I'm changing over here by manually prepaid in other insurance. Okay, so for this particular any deferrals, so initially either it may be any expenses, like mostly you will use this particular deferral in expenses for the prepaid advance expenses or recurring expenses which you will use to defer. Like for example is one is the insurance, another one is rent, another one if you have any other subscriptions. So for these mostly you will use this particular deferral. I mean mostly you will use the accruals for them, right? So most of the topics will come under this particular ledger account itself. Okay, so at here I have selected the prepaid expenses is my the expenses account for this particular transaction. So after that you will click on deferral. So in this particular deferral you will map the actual expenditure account. Okay, so when I click on this particular deferral, okay, now you can see it is stating the functional dimension storage get segment has been incorrectly called. So this particular error message is stating related to the your accounting structure and the dimension segments. So for that, let me navigate to the uh, general ledger module, chart of account, structure, configuration accounting structure. Okay, so at here you can see we have too many accounting structure. It is very difficult to identify which we have mapped to the respective legal entity USMF. So we will go directly to the uh, ledger, ledger setup. Under ledger setup we have ledger. Okay, so at here let me select the balance sheet. Okay, you can see balance sheet it is starting from the 4000 to 4149, and in P&L it is starting with the same, and in statistical it is X. So you can see we have the accounting distribution, we have the main account starting with 1000 series. Okay, and if you see we have the three accounting structure which is mapped to this particular uh, legal entity. And if you see all the three accounting structure, like for example if it is a balance sheet, so if you open the balance sheet you can see the main account is starting with 4000 series to 4999. Okay, so at here there is no one series account is available. Secondly, if you see the manufacturing P&L, you can see at here also the same. Okay, and finally if you see the third one, statistical, at here also you can see it is the same. Okay, it is mentioned the main account starting with X, there is no main account starting with X. So let me change to and this is in draft status. This is inactive. Okay, so at here let me change the main account from instead of 4000 series, let me change to 1000 series. Okay, so let me click on edit. So main account in between 1, click on apply, let me activate. Okay, this is done. Okay, so what we will do, we will use the existing same main account itself. So I will tell you how this will work. Okay, in reality. So we have seen the example in deferral example in the general journal. So you can imagine this is the prepaid insurance, prepaid other expenses account. Okay, so when you click on the deferral, so what will happen? So this is my temporary account that is prepaid. So it will transport this particular account initially, and from there every month it will recognize to the actual expenses account. So let me select some other expenses account over here. Under, instead of miscellaneous, I am selecting the other miscellaneous account. Okay, now you can see, imagine this is the temporary account, that is nothing but the prepaid insurance or a prepaid other expenses account. So from this particular account, when you book the invoice, then this particular expenses will get debited and your vendor will be credited. Okay, so when you do the monthly wise recognition, so in that case, what will happen? These other expenses will get debit, other miscellaneous expenses account will get debit, and it will credit this particular account. Okay, now after selecting the recognition account, you can see consolidated prior period. If you want to consolidate any backdated period is there into one recognition, you can compare, you can make it as yes. If you want to know, you want to post individual ledger wise, you can consider as no. Okay, and schedule from template, you will enable this particular toggle button as yes. Okay, and at here it will ask you to select the deferral template. So already we have defined the deferral template has 12 months, okay, or 18 months. So you will select that particular deferral template and you will specify the start date. So let's imagine I am specifying the start date, either it may be middle of the month or end of the month. So based on it, it will calculate on the pro rata basis. Like for example, at here I am selecting 22 January, and if I click on preview, so what will happen? So it will calculate based on the pro rata basis, and it segregate the amount equally. Okay, now you can see I have given the start date as 22 Jan. So 22 to Jan to 31st Jan. So they are almost 10 days. Okay. For those 10 days, so this is the amount, and for each individual month, it's calculating, it was splitting the equal amount. Okay. So after defining this, I will click on OK. So what will happen? This particular deferral is applied on this particular accounting distribution. Okay. So once I have clicked on OK, now you can see this deferral checkbox has been checked. It means that our deferral has been successfully applied on this particular line level. Okay. Now let me go a step back. Okay, now at here I have already given the invoice number. Okay, if you click on total, you can see the total amount of this particular transaction line. So it's 10 lakhs. Okay, and if you click on post, the transaction will be posted. Now the invoice has been posted. Okay, now if you see over here, uh, let me refresh the screen. Invoice journal. Okay, now if you see this particular transaction voucher, okay, uh, it's not yet populated. Let me see the journal. Let me see our journal batch is running or not. Journal ledger periodic sub ledger journal not transferred. Okay, it means it has been transferred. So let me refresh the page. Okay, now you can see over here we have insurance expenses with 1000. Okay, and if you see the total miscellaneous expenses is 10 lakhs 1000, and if you see the vendor balance is how much, vendor balance is nothing but the 10 lakhs itself. Okay, so this 1000, how it has been added from the based on the uh, from based on the charges what we have added. Okay, even you can add these particular charges during the invoice time also and post the invoice. So how we can add during the invoice level, let's see. Okay, let me take any open purchase order which is already received. Okay, let's take this particular purchase order. Samsung China is the vendor name. Okay, okay, it is invoiced. Yeah, so I have generated the invoice for this particular purchase order number 3104, and I have given the invoice number, some random description. Okay, now if I want to apply the charges on this particular vendor during the invoice time, so what I will do, we have a three dots over here, so you will click on this particular three dots, you will go to the financials. Okay, under financials you have the maintain charges, so you will click on maintain charges, and you will specify the charge code, like for example handling fee, it's fixed 2500. Okay, and you will add another charges also, that is installation, this is also fixed 2000. Okay, so now you have given two different charges over here. Okay, so after saving this particular record, and you will distribute amount across all the lines. Okay, so you can see the distribution. So at here the distribution, it will shows the what ledger account it's going to be hit. Okay, if you want to modify, you can modify over there. Now let me go a step back. Now I will allocate the charges. So when I click on allocate on net amount on all the line, allocate all, and I will click on allocate. So now if you see, we have added two different charges during the invoice time. Okay, now if I go to the view distribution, so what it will show me additionally two more charges. One is the handling fee, another one is the installation. Okay, it will show me both of them, and so when I make the invoice, additionally 4500 will be added to the my expenditure account. Okay, so this is the way of adding the charges during the invoice level. So we have seen the charges adding during the PO level. Now we have seen during the invoice level. Now let's see how we can add the charges after posting the invoice. For example, if you have missed to update the charges on the purchase order invoice, so how we can add this particular charges, let's see. Okay, now you can see at here this particular PO has been invoiced. So let me show you in voucher. Okay, so additionally you can see we have 2000 as miscellaneous expenses. This miscellaneous expenses is for the installation and 2500 for the handling fee. You can see these two rows which I have selected over here. So these two are my charges additionally which I have added during the my invoice level. Okay. Now let me go a step back. So far we have seen we have added the charges during the PO, we have added the charges during the invoice level, and also we have seen how to apply the differential. So we have applied the differential, but how we will do recognition, let me show you that also. So before going to the differential, so let me complete this charges part. Okay, now I have another scenario where I want to apply the charges post invoice level also. Okay, now you can see this is PO number 3105, okay, which is already invoiced. Okay, let me show you that invoice copy. So if I go to the voucher, it's 20,000 is the amount, and you can see at here we don't have any charges. Okay, now I want to apply charges on this particular PO invoice which I have missed it. Okay, so how we will apply? Okay, so for that what we will do, we will select this particular purchase order and we will go to the invoice journal, and over here you can see there is a charges. Okay, click on this particular charges and click on adjust. You will select the charge code over here, like for example I have insurance, so you will select the charge code as insurance and you will specify the amount, or you will specify the percentage as, like for example 5%, and at here you will select as percentage. Okay, and you will click on OK. So once you have clicked on OK, so what will happen, on the invoice amount it will calculate the 5%. Now you can see if I go to the voucher, sorry, so if you go to the adjust, as you have defined over here on all the lines, so based on that what will happen, there will be a charges will be added to this particular invoice, and in voucher it is not reflecting over here. So let's see in the distribution. Let me add once again. PO line level. Okay, let me show you this particular transaction, why it is not reflecting. I need to do some investigation. Okay, but during the invoice level we will add the charges in this particular way by clicking on this particular charges, and we will click on adjustment, and we will select the charge code from here. Like for example if it is insurance, you will select the insurance. Okay, and you will specify the amount, okay, and you will click on OK. So once you have clicked on OK, the charges will be applied on this particular PO invoice, and if you go to the voucher, that particular voucher will show you that particular 1000. Okay, so currently that particular 1000 is not reflecting over here, so let me investigate why it's not showing. Okay, just give me a minute, I need to take one call. Yes, sorry. But let me tell you the scenario why it's not working. I will check and I will get back to you on this one. Okay. So far we have seen we can add the invoice. So in interview also they may ask you this particular question. In which stages we can add the charges. So you can say that in PO level we can add it. During the invoice level also we can add it, and post the invoice also you can add the charges. Okay. So you remember these 3 points and you can answer that particular question. Okay, so in deferral we have created one PO invoice where the deferral is already scheduled. To view to view those deferral, so we will navigate to the subscription billing module. Okay, under subscription billing module we have active deferral schedule. So this form will show all the active deferral schedule. Okay, so in this if you see the last one, the vendor invoice, okay, number 19, 10 lakhs, and this is the vendor information, and this is the invoice number. Okay, so if I open this particular deferral schedule, you can able to view the transaction what we have scheduled over there. Okay, so if you click on recognize, so automatically the accrual entry will be posted. Okay, so I'm clicking over here recognize, and so it will ask me to update the cutoff date. Like for example, I'm updating the cutoff date as 31st Jan, and I will click on view preview, so it will display so which line is qualified as per that particular cutoff date. And if I click on process, so the accrual entry will be posted in the journal. Okay, so this we have seen it in the with help by using the journal how we can schedule the accruals. So this is another way where you can schedule your accruals based on the expenses through the purchase order also. Okay, so this is one topic which I have left out. One is the charges and this one, so I have covered that one also. Okay, so let's see one complete scenario of accounts payable module. Then we will see we'll move to the next module called account receivable. Okay, so for that, so we have seen the complete, but we have seen the purchase order cycle. So first we will create the purchase order, then we will do the confirmation, then we will do the product receipt, then we will do the invoice. Okay, now let's create one return order. So for creation of return order, again you will create the purchase order. For that I will go to the all purchase order form. At here I will click on new, and at here I will select the same vendor. Like for example, at here I am selecting the Gout Gun Computer Trading. Okay, and I have clicked on OK. So once I have created the purchase order, so as I am creating the return order of this particular vendor, so what I will do, I will go to the purchase tab, purchase tab. Okay, in this particular purchase tab, if you see the left corner top under create, we have the credit note. Okay, so once you click on this particular credit note, so it will display all the invoices related to this particular vendor. Okay, and you can see whichever is the PO based invoices and which are non PO based invoices, you can see it. So for PO based invoices, it will display with the purchase order number as a reference. For non PO based, it will not display any purchase order as a reference number. Now at here, so let me select one of the I'm selecting. Okay, so at here, uh, this form displaying all the purchase order or basis invoices on non-purchase order basis invoices. So in this particular form, so when I clicked on credit note, so it will showing the invoices of this particular vendor. So let me select one of the vendor, PO based invoices. Like for example, I am selecting this 3112 purchase order. Okay, so at here I have selected one of the purchase order number, and you can see this is the line information where I have the item called hospitality services. It's 500 quantity and the amount is 500. Okay, so once I have clicked on OK, so there will be a invert sign will be created. So currently it is in positive quantity. So when I click on OK, it will be in negative quantity, line will be added, and the line information will be copied from that particular PO invoices to this particular PO invoice. Okay, now we have created new PO called 3115, and now you can see in this particular purchase order line, you can see the quantity which is in negative. Okay, it means that this is the return order, or you can say this is the credit note which we are creating against to that particular purchase order. Okay, so once you have added this particular line information, okay, you will submit to the workflow. Okay, there is no workflow is available, so it means we have disabled the workflow, so that was the reason it is in it's showing as no workflow is defined. So let me activate the workflow. To activate the workflows, we need to go back to the procurement sourcing module, procurement sourcing workflow. So let me make activate. Okay, now let me go back to the purchase order. So this is 3115 which we have which we are currently working on it. So let me submit to the workflow. Workflow history. So you can track in workflow history to whom it has been assigned for the workflow approval. So you can track each and everything over here, and you can reassign and you can approve it. So let me track to whom it has been assigned. You can see over here we have submitted to the workflow, but you can see it's not triggering to the next steps. Okay, after submission there is no action has been taken. Okay, the reason behind this is either maybe our workflow jobs are not working. So to see the workflow jobs are working or not, so in another tab, so what I will do, I will go to the system admin. Under system admin inquiries, we have bad job. Okay, so at here I will filter with the job description called workflow. Instead of begin with, I will make it as contain. So at here you can see we have only the vendor invoice workflow field is there, other than that nothing jobs are there. Okay, so it means that the workflow framework is not working over here. Okay, so for that let me go back to the system admin. Okay, under system administration we have workflow infrastructure configuration, and at here you will click on OK. Now what will happen, it will be added a couple of batch jobs in the job descriptions. One is the workflow. Yeah, now you can see previously this workflow messaging center, this is not showing, now it's showing over here. So let me refresh now. Yeah, now you can see it has been went to this particular workflow framework. Okay, and there is a pre-approval condition is there, based on that it has been approved, and you can see the workflow has been completed. Okay, now if I refresh this particular page, from in review it will change to approved state. Okay, now you can see the purchase return order has been approved. So let me do the confirmation. Okay, now confirmation is done. Then you will go to the product receipt. So this particular product receipt is nothing but this is the return order confirmation receipt. So you will give the product receipt number for return order item, and you will click on OK. So the next part is the invoice part. So once you click on generate invoice, so it will be posted our tax credit invoice. Okay, so at here you will give the return invoice order return invoice number, or you can say as credit note also. Okay, so after giving the invoice number you will click on post. So once you click on post, it means that our return order invoice has been posted. And if you see the voucher of this particular transaction where your vendor is getting debited, you can see the vendor balance is getting plus, it means it is getting debited, and your expenditure is getting credited. Your miscellaneous expenses is getting credited. Okay, so this is the return order process. So we have seen the charges, and other than that we have the invoice journal. So for that invoice journal, if you go to the accounts payable module, under accounts payable module we have invoices, we have seen the invoice journal. Okay, so for invoice journal you will click on new, and you will select the journal name as AP invoice or any other invoice. So what will be the journal type of this particular invoice? Can anyone answer? So what will be the journal type for this particular invoices?
Invoice recording.
Yes, you are right. It's vendor invoice recording. Okay, so once you will go to the lines and you will select the vendor and respective offset account and you will post it. Like for example, at here I am selecting the vendor like AXE123. Okay, and you will give the invoice date, invoice number, and if you have any description you will update the description. So I'm updating as blank, and you will select the, you will give the amount as in credit, as the vendor will always have the credit balance. Okay, and you will select the respective offset account, like what is my expense account, I need to select it. So I will select over here with defining over here as purchase expenses, and I will click on post. Okay, so if you have workflow, then it will go for the approval matrix, for the triggering for the approval matrix. Okay, so I just clicked on post. Now you can see my invoice journal has been posted. So we have another concept called global invoice journal. So let me show you how we can create similarly. Okay, for that same accounts payable module, invoices, global invoice journal. So at here, instead of you can see we have a new journal. So I will click on new journal over here. Okay, so it will ask me to it will asking me to select the respective company first. So I am selecting the legal entity as USRT. Okay, and I need to select the company name, I mean sorry, journal name. So I will select the AP invoice and I will click on OK. So at here a record will be created. Okay, and I will click on lines. Now you can see previously at here my company is USMF, right? Now in this particular journal, if you go and if you see, by default it is USRT. The reason behind is, as we have selected the journal in global journal, we have selected the company as USRT. So it will display all the vendors related located in the USRT. Okay, so I have selected the vendor. You can see the vendor code for AXE123. It's 001 in the USMF and it's 007 in USRT. So let me give the date, invoice date, invoice number, expenses as a description, and give the amount in credit for the vendor balance, and select the offset account. Okay, so at here I have selected some random expenditure account and I have posting. So at here my offset account will get debit and my vendor is getting credit. So if you click on post, the invoice journal will be posted. Okay, so at here it is not posted because of the budget performance. Okay, so because of that it didn't post it. So we will see, let me disable this particular budget setting, then we will post it. Okay, so this is the invoice which we have created, right? So let me post this particular invoice journal. This has been posted. You can see this is the invoice journal to journal batch number 25159. Okay, now if I go back to the USMF entity, Okay, so if I go back to the global journal from accounts payable module, global invoice journal. Okay, so at here, if I filter with the posted one, and if I filter with 25159, you can see the status, it is posted. Okay, it means that the journal has been posted successfully. Okay, so you can create in this particular global journal with different legal entity, and you can directly book the expenses over here. Okay, no need to change the legal entity, and no need to change go back to the same journal, same form, invoice journal form, and instead of booking over there, you can straightforward you can book in the global invoice journal for all the legal entities at one place. So this is the advantage of this particular global journal. So the next topic is the payments. So we have seen the invoice register, pool and approval. So okay, so in invoice register, the concept is straightforward. There will be expenses initially it will be transferred to the temporary accounts. Temporary accounts over here is the arrival and the purchase expenditure offset account. So initially it will book to these temporary accounts, and once it is approved, then it will trigger to the actual expenditure and vendor balance. Okay, so at here you will create a new record, and you will select the journal name as invoice register. Okay, and you will go to the lines. So at here you will select the respective vendor like AXE123. You will give the invoice date and invoice number. Okay, so at here you will give the amount, like for example 4500. Okay, so after selecting this, if you click on save, okay, now if you click on post, now you can see that voucher, it will be triggered to your okay, now you can see it's stating there is a approval person line is not specified. Okay, so you can see this particular error message, the posting result of journal batch number J003677, the voucher APIR 000038, employee to approve, and the line is not specified. So it means that if you scroll over here, so we have invoice approved by, so this particular register who has been adding, so that particular person name should be added over here automatically. So I have selected that particular person name, and now I have posted this particular transaction. Okay, now at here if you see this particular transaction voucher, so what it went, it's going to the okay, there is a sales tax also, you can ignore. So at here it's going to the arrival account and as well as the offset account. So this is my arrival account pending with the approval, and this is my offset account. Okay, so during the invoice approved which you are posting it, at that particular stage what will happen, these two accounts will be reversed and your actual vendor will be credited and your expenses will be debited. Okay, so the one more reason why we are running this particular invoice register, at here you don't know your actual expense account. That may be the one reason, and the second one is you may not have the permission to post that particular expenses directly by you. Okay, so in those two cases we will use this particular invoice register. Okay, now I have booked my registers, right? So once I have booked this particular register, so what will happen, it after posting this particular register, so this register information will be moved to the invoice pool. Okay, if I go to the invoice pool, you can see this is the 4950. So this is the line which we have created right now, and you can see the date, transaction date, it's 1st Feb 2025. Okay, so this is straightforward. This is the waiting period where you can track how many invoices still we have not yet posted, so you can track it from here. Okay, from the invoice pool. Now we have, let me go to the approved invoice. So invoice approval. So at here, if I create new, and I will select the okay, so if I go to the invoice approval, if I click on new, and I will select the journal name as AP invoice approval. So if I go to the lines, okay, now at here I don't have any information, right? So I need to fetch the information from my invoice pool, so which I want to make the invoice. So for that, what the user will do, he will click on the find voucher. So in this particular find voucher, it will display all the invoices which is available in the staging table. Staging table in the sense that invoice pool. So from here he will select that particular voucher and he will click on select. So once he click on select, that particular line information, voucher information will be populated down, and he will click on OK. So once he clicked on OK, now you can see the voucher information is populated in the approved AP invoice approval journal. Okay, so at here the finance user, I mean the actual who's having this particular expense account to post authority, so he will select the respective expense account in this particular drop down list. Okay, so at here he was, let's imagine he's selecting some so let's imagine he's selecting some commission expenses. Okay, so after selecting the commission expenses, now when he posts this particular transaction, okay, so once he clicked on post, if you see the voucher of this particular transaction where your previously invoice arrival, I mean the purchase arrival and purchase offset account was get debited and created, will be reversed. One minute, let me select. So at here you can see it's giving me an error message stating that the account number for transaction type sales order doesn't exist. Okay, so that was the reason it was blocking over me. Let me select some of the map the posting profile. So for that I need to go to the general ledger, posting setup, accounts for automatic transaction. Let me add new sales tax. Okay, so let me select the account. So at here I have selected sales tax clearing account and I have saved it. Now if I post this particular journal, let me post now. Okay, so at here we have mapped. So let us map in another place also. Procurement. So sorry, inventory management, posting, purchase order tab. Let's see, we have sales tax over here. No. Tax. Let me remove this particular, let me create new invoice register. I will show you the calculation how this will happen. Okay, so let's go with without the sales tax, and let's see for time being. Okay, so at here I have selected some the last one which I have created. Okay, so let me select that particular voucher, that is 4500. Okay, so let me select that particular voucher, and so at here you can see I have added that particular voucher, and at here I will select my actual expense account. Either it may be a commission expenses or any other expenses which required by your higher authority of approval. So he will select that particular expense account and he will post for that particular transaction. Okay, so once he click on post, okay, now you can see the transaction which is previously got debited credited, which means your arrival account, and the purchase expenditure offset account will be reversed. Okay, now you can see over here, so this vendor balance and this is the commission expenses. These two account is your actual transaction. Okay, so on top you can see the invoice arrival and offset account, and at down also you can see the AP invoice domestic and offset account. So these two ledger account has been reversed and the balance will be zero. There is balance will be zero. The reason why it has been reversed, so initially it was parked to the temporary account, that is nothing but the your arrival account and as well as the purchase expenditure offset account. So where we will map this particular arrival account and purchase expenditure offset account. So for that you need to navigate to the accounts payable, setup. Under setup we have vendor posting profile. So at here you can see under general tab, for if I select for all, you can see we have mapped for the arrival account and offset account. So these two account bases, it has been registered during the vendor invoice register time, and during the approval time. So this will be reversed and it will book your actual payable account. Okay, so this is the way it has been booked. Okay, so next we have also seen the payments. So we have seen the different payment methods. So we have seen the check payment method, PDC. Okay, so in interview they may ask you, so what is the status of the PDC? Okay, so there are so let me show you that also. Might be I have not shown you that PDC status, so let me show you that. So for that I will click on this particular vendor payment journal. I will click on new, and at here I will select the respective payment journal line. Okay, like for example vendor payment, and I will click on lines. Okay, so at here I will select the vendor, respective vendor. Okay, after selecting vendor, so I will give the amount in debit, as the vendor payments will always in debit side. So I will give the amount as 500. Okay, and I have selected the method of payment as PDC. Okay, PDC is nothing but the post dated check. So once you have selected the method as PDC and you have clicked on save. Okay, now this particular status of so this is the PDC transaction which we have created. Okay, so there is another form which where you can track all the PDCs. Okay, so let me show you that in another tab. Let me go to the accounts payable. Under accounts payable, under enquiries and report. Okay, under payments, under payments we have vendor post dated check. Okay, so this particular form will show you the all the payment journal which you have created has the payment method is PDC. So for example, this is 3680 is the journal batch number. So I have copied this particular journal batch number. So I have filtered with that particular journal batch number over here. So before updating this one, I need to update one more thing. You can see there is a post dated check tab. So click on this particular post dated check tab and give the maturity date as let's imagine 4th, check number. Sorry, you will generate the check, right? Sorry, let me generate the check. Sorry guys, I got confused with the account receivable. Okay, so at here for vendors, what we will do for vendors, if we are generating any check, what we will do, we will generate payments. Okay, so at here once you have selected the method of payment as PDC. Okay, and this check and account number will be populated, and you will click on generate payment. Okay, and at here you will select the method of payment as PDC, and you will select the respective bank account, and you will click on OK. So once you have clicked on OK, so what will happen, a check number will be assigned to this particular transaction. Okay, so at here let me give the check number, is 10005, and I will click on OK. Now you can see the status of this particular transaction. Okay, it's not affected. 1 minute. Let me generate now PDC. We were facing in this particular environment the check issue, right? So let me change the environment. Just give me a minute. Okay, so let me show you over here. So let me recreate the vendor payment journal. Okay, so at here I am creating a new vendor payment journal. So at here I am selecting the journal name as VendPay or VPay. I'll go to the lines. Okay, so let me select some random vendor and let me give the amount in debit, and at here I will select the method of payment as PDC. Okay, and I will generate the payment. So once I click on generate payment, so at here I will select the method of payment as PDC, and let me select the bank account. Okay, and I will click on OK. So at here it will give me the check number, and I will click on OK, and this check number will be mapped against this particular payment journal line. Okay, now you can see, let it generate. Okay, now you can see for this particular check PDC line, the status is sent, and this is my check number, and this is the maturity date. So maturity date is nothing but the transaction when the actual your check date. Either this particular maturity date may be future date, or it may be based on the next to 7 days. So either it may be any one of the days. Okay, now this particular transaction will also display in this particular form called under payment PDC. Okay, so at here, so let me make Z2A. Okay, now you can see this is the journal which we have created right now. Okay, the journal batch number is 14047. You can see the journal name, it's VPay. Okay, so it means that this is the open PDC journal. So open PDC journal is nothing but you have created the transaction record. Okay, the PDC line has been created, it is in open state, and it is not yet posted. Okay, it means that it is not met your actual maturity date. Okay, so once you post this particular journal, just give me a minute. Okay, so once we post this particular vendor payment journal, okay, so once I post this particular payment journal, so what will happen? There will be a okay. So once I post this particular payment journal, so what will happen? Your PDC status will also change to from open to posted. Okay, so posted in the sense it doesn't means that it has been settlement is done. Okay, it is unsettled posted PDC journal. Okay, when I say unsettled, it means that this particular payment is not yet recorded in their respective bank account. Okay, so when I say it is a settled transaction, it means that it has been debited from my respective bank. Okay, now you can see when I open this particular transaction voucher, okay, what it states that the PDC is under the payable. Still we didn't still we didn't issue to the respective vendor. Okay, so what we need to do, so the second status is posted, first one is open, second one is posted, third one is settled in the sense it means that PDC has been cleared. Okay, now let me go back to the vendor post dated checks. Okay, so let me filter over here Z2A. Okay, now at here you can see the transactions is posted. Let me add the status column. Okay, now you can see that transaction status it's stating as posted. It means that it has been the payment, we have made the payment, but check it's not yet cleared from the bank. Okay, to clear the bank, so currently the transaction it is in the bridge posting. Okay, so the bridge posting is in the sense we have mapped the temporary account, like for example let me open it. So from posted, so if I go to the lines, okay, now at here see this is the payable account, it's the temporary account which we have mapped in our method of payment. Like for example, if I go to the method of payment as PDC, you can see this is the account which we have mapped under the bridge posting. Okay, so once you have posted this particular bridge posting, so what will happen? So it will be posted and it was temporarily parked in this particular account. So once you have made the settlement, okay, so settlement in the sense when the vendor has been received his money, so what we will do, we will deduct from this particular, we will remove from this particular based on the maturity date, we will remove from this clearing account. Okay, clearing account in the sense the bridge account, and we will issue the actual payment. So to do that, so what we will do, we will go to the journal, okay, journal transaction. So at here we will click on new and you will select the journal type as journal by default. Okay, 1 minute. Journal. Okay, so at here I will select the respective journal. I will go to the lines, and at here to clear that particular PDC, so what I will do, I will go to the function. So at here I have select the bridge transaction. So if I click on the select for bridge transaction, So it will display all the vendor invoices or customer related bridge transaction over here. So I will select that respective transaction and I will click on accept for clearing that particular transaction. Now you can see at here by default my PDC payable is getting debited, okay, and my bank is getting credited. Okay, so if I click on so there is a workflow is there. So once I submit to the workflow and I can post this particular transaction. So this is related to PDC. So PDC status is open and posted, and the clearing is done outside once the transaction is posted. So we will do the clearing part. This is clear PDC. I have not shown this additional form, vendor post dated check form. Okay, so that is the staging table where you can see the transaction, how many transaction PDC transaction has been created. So you can view over there. Okay. So let me approve. Okay, so let me approve this particular bridge transaction. So once it is approved, the post button will be enabled and you can post the transaction. So in this scenario, you can see how we can generate the check and as well as the bridge posting. So at here in the PDC, and the difference between PDC and check or current dated check is nothing but the CDC check. Okay, there is no difference. Okay, check and current dated check both are same. Okay, and only the PDC have little bit different as it will go for the bridge transaction. Okay, so in current dated check and check, it will be by default it will be created to directly to your bank and your vendor will be debited. Okay, now it states it as post. So let me post this particular transaction. So let me show you, this is one of the customers uh, which I am handling, that particular customer's environment. Okay, now you can see if you go to the accounts payable and if you see the method of payments, so you can relate easily. Okay, let me go to the payment setup, method of payment. Now you can see they have cash, they have check, okay, they have electronic payment transfer, they have some managerial check, okay, PDC check, wire transfer. So these are the different payment methods which they are utilizing it on current daily basis. Okay, for environment basis it's completely same, but the conceptual wise they may use some integration, I mean they have some customizations on this particular environment. Okay, so that is the PDC and PDC. Check is also same by default. At here, the instead of this particular ledger account, it will be the bank account will be populated, and check you can generate in the same way itself. Okay, so if you have any doubts on this particular payment, please let me know. If you have any doubts in this particular accounts payable module, please let me know. Hello team, is there any doubt in accounts payable? We have covered very high level as the revision in this particular module.
Sir,
Sir, please explain about posting profiles one more time.
Okay. Posting profile of vendor, you mean to say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So you can see we have vendor posting profile. Okay. So this setup is based on your accounts payable setup vendor posting profile. So at here you just see this one reason, you don't focus on other. Okay. So at here in Zen we have classified based on individual group and we have given as all. So in individual group, like for example, if your group is service vendor, for service vendor we used to map the summary account over here. Summary account is nothing but if you post any transaction related to this particular vendor, it will trigger this particular summary account. Okay. So at here it's not mapped properly. Okay, you leave this first one G20. Okay, at here the summary account is not mapped for over here, so let me map that one. Summary account for vendor type is service vendor. Accounts payable service vendor. Okay, let it map this one only. Okay. Okay. So at here you can see it's giving an error message stating that this is at here we have one warning message it's giving. Okay, so it should not be duplicate if it is already utilizing in another posting profile, so it should not be duplicate over here. So that was the reason at here this triangles giving that particular warning message. Okay, so at here I am giving a glance over here. So each group level, like for example there is a group 20 vendor group, if it is a 20, that is the service vendor. For that we will give the summary account as accounts payable service vendor. Okay, we will map that particular main account. And similarly if it is a 40, then in 40 is nothing but over here it is other vendor, so we will map accounts payable other vendor. So based on this particular group we will classify the different vendor main account over here, which is nothing but the sub ledger group level of vendor. Okay, like for example I have over here vendor group, let's imagine 10, 20, 30 and 40. Okay, let's imagine my 10 is local vendor. Okay, 20 is international vendor, service vendor, intercompany vendor. Okay, so when I book the transaction, so I have under the account there is one GL call starting with 20,000 or 2,000. Okay, I have accounts payable slash supplier. Okay, so this is my main GL account. So inside that I am having subledger account as this, Okay, so I have mapped in this way. Okay, so in group level, this is the total level of main account, and this is my individual subledger account. I mean individual ledger account. Okay, all are individual ledger account. So this is considered, total account is considered as main account, and these all are your subledger account. Okay, so in posting profile, if you define based on the group level, okay, as we have over here, you can see when you add a new field in this particular column, we have either table, group, and all. Okay, the primary preference will be given to the table, secondary group, third at all. For example, if vendor we have defined, let me give you over here example. Okay, so I have mapped the same posting profile ledger account over here. Okay, this is my summary account. This is group name. Okay, sorry, I'm explaining in Excel. At here, if I try to explain, it's very difficult for you, and you at here you're not able to understanding this one. So this is a little bit tricky over here. So I'm explaining the same concept in the Excel sheet. So at here we will map that particular summary account. This summary account is nothing but this account. Okay, and also we have couple of vendor, like vendor V001, V002, V003, V004. Okay, A, B, C, D. These are three different vendor, four different vendor, and each vendor group is this. Okay, I am giving another vendor also, V005. Okay, his name is E, vendor name is E, and he is related to vendor group 20. Okay, now in posting profile, what we are defining, okay, we are defining based on the group level. One is either group level, second level is the one is all, second is group, third one is at table level. Okay, so when I mention has all, so all it will take, like example 200000. Okay, when I'm mentioning as all, if this particular group is not available, let me take in this way. Case 1. Okay, if I mention group level has all, in that case what will happen, by default all the transaction will be triggered to the this particular main account. If you book the invoice, your accounts payable vendor account, instead of vendor, okay, so when I select this particular transaction PO invoice, just focus on this particular Excel sheet. Okay, when I'm making the invoice of this particular vendor, so what will happen, my vendor will get credit with 10, and my expenses will debit with 10, right? My expenses will debit 10 and my vendor will get debit 10. So at here your expense account is, let's imagine your expense account is something 600,001. Okay, and this particular vendor main account, from where it will pick based on this particular posting profile. Like for example, in Zen posting profile, if you have defined all has this particular main account, this particular main account will display it over here. So this is case 1. when it is all. Okay. In case 2, if you have defined at the group level, so in case 2, if you have defined at the group level, okay, so at here in this case the same this entry, how it will flow. Now imagine this is when this vendor is A. Okay, so if A having the vendor group has 10, 10 is nothing but the local vendor. So for local vendor, the main account is this. So this particular main account will be populated over here. Okay, so at here your expense account is whatever expense account, but the main account for this particular vendor A will be the local vendor. Okay, similarly, if this vendor B is there, then vendor B, whatever the group I have mapped, it's 20. So for this particular 20, in this particular vendor group, in the posting profile, I have mapped this particular main account. This particular main account will be populated over here. Are you getting, Sri Lakshmi?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the posting profile is nothing but to classify to which main which is my vendor main account is there, that I'm populating from where, from the vendor posting profile. Okay. Now, so this is the group level concept. It is clear for you. Now case 3. In case 3, we have at the table level. Okay, so let me copy all this and let me paste in case 3. Okay, in case 3, I have a table level. I have vendor E and I have given for him 20005. Okay, now in this case, when you are booking the expense account, okay, let's imagine I have vendor E. Okay, so vendor E having 2 cases over here. Okay, if you see the vendor E group is 20. Okay, 20, if you see in this particular case 3, we have group level and as well as we have table level. Okay, so as I have earlier said, it will give the primary preference to the table level. This is the first preference. Second preference is the group level. Third preference is the all. Okay, so even though if you have defined all, it will check if any group is defined against that particular thing, group, I mean vendor. Again, it will check if it is any table level is anything is defined. If table level, if it is defined as 2005, then in that case it will take that particular ledger account for vendor E. Instead of group, it will take as table level. Okay, so if you understand this, how it is picking the ledger account of that particular vendor, then you can understand any accounting, any posting profile, how it is going to be configured.
Yes.
Yes.
So similarly, the same concept will be available at the customer, that is customer posting profile, that we will see in AR module. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes.
you can see. Now based on this, let's go to the D365. Okay, inside the ERP. Yeah. So in Gen, I have added a new group. In new group, at here I am selecting either I need to define at group level or all. So I will select group. So I will select the respective group. Like for example, I have selected 1001. So I will specify the main account related to that particular group. Okay. Similarly, you will specify all the groups. If you want to specify at the table level, you will select, you will add, and you will select at here instead of group number. At here it will display all the vendor master information. you will select that respective vendor and you will map the respective main account. Okay, so you can add in number of like that. Okay, so it will not allow you to select the duplicate summary account. If you add the duplicate summary account, it will give the warning. Like for example, if I'm selecting over here accounts payable domestic, okay, on top you can see the vendor transaction exists in the suggested table and posting profile. Kindly create new posting profile. Okay, if I go and create new posting profile, then also it will give me the same error stating that this is already exist in different posting profile. Okay, so you should not use the duplicate summary account when you are going with the table level. Okay, so that is the concept of the vendor posting profile. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions?
Gautam sir, please explain here about the arrival. I'm just little bit confused.
Sorry.
In a vendor posting profile, also set up what are the use of arrival.
Yeah. So this arrival and offset account, we have seen these two posting profile we will map for the invoice register, invoice pool and invoice approval. When you are booking the invoice register, we require these two posting profile need to be mapped for that particular group or for that particular uh, either it may be group or all. Okay, the reason behind is why we are booking the invoice register. There may be the two reason, as you may not have approval access to post that particular expense account. Okay, second reason is you might require some higher approval for that particular transaction to post that particular expense account. Third one is you don't know the actual expenditure account. Okay, third reason is you don't know the actual expense account. So for these three reasons, we will create this particular when booking of invoice register, invoice pool and approval invoice. Okay, so when you book the invoice register, so at that time it will not ask you to select the offset account. It will not ask you to select the actual what is your expense account. Okay, so let me show you that once again. See, if I go back to the invoice register, okay, if I am adding a new invoice register, at here you can see I have just selected the vendor account. Okay, and I have given the invoice date and invoice number and the amount. Okay, I didn't select any offset account. You can see, do I selected any expense account over here? No. Okay,
No.
and once I post this particular transaction, what it's take based on those arrival and purchase offset account. So based on that, initially this particular transaction will be triggered to that respective posting profile, what we have defined over here. 1 minute, let me show you that. Okay, so at here you can see we have defined in all level arrival and offset account. So at here we have defined what we have defined the invoice pending approval as arrival, and offset account we have defined accounts payable offset invoice. Okay, now when I am booking this particular invoice register, at here during this particular stage I don't have expense account to select it. Okay, so when I post this particular transaction, okay, so when I post this particular transaction, it's not hitting your actual vendor and it is not going to hit your actual expense. So where it's going to hit, it was hitting your arrival and offset account, which we have defined in this particular parameter level. Okay, so at here we have defined the arrival has invoice pending approval, Now in this particular transaction voucher, you can see, okay, my invoice pending approval is nothing but your related to vendor is getting credit, and your accounts payable offset account is getting debit. Okay, so this is your expense and this is your vendor balance. Okay, so these are the temporary account which we will map for the invoice register. Okay, during the invoice approval, what will happen, this accounting entry will be reversed and your vendor balance will be credited and your expense will be get debited. Okay, now let me go a step back. Now if I'm going to the invoice approval, okay, under invoice approval I have selected the journal name as AP invoice approval lines. Now at here I am finding the voucher. So from where I am finding this particular voucher, so I have the voucher in the invoice register which I have created and have posted, and it was parked in the invoice pool. Invoice pool is nothing but it's the staging table. Whatever you have registered and posted, those information will be populated in your invoice pool. Okay, now I am picking that particular voucher from where, from the invoice pool. Okay, so at here I am finding that particular voucher. So these all are the invoice pool information, it is populating over here. So if I scroll, so this is the 8500 record which I have created. So I will select this particular record. Okay, and at here I will click on select, and this is the selected line which is populated down, and once I clicked on OK, so this information will be copied in my invoice line. So you can see this is the invoice approval line. Now at here what I am trying to do, at here I am selecting my actual expense account. Okay, let's imagine I am selecting the expense account as purchase expenses. Okay, now you can see I have my purchase expenses and I have my vendor balance also. Okay, now you can see at here there are 4 records. One is the reversal, another one is the actual your vendor transaction and expense account. Now let me post this particular transaction, invoice approval, in vendor invoice approval transaction. I'm posting it. So once I have post this particular transaction record, if you see the voucher, so there will be a 6 lines. Okay, let me show you that. Okay, now you can see we have around 6 lines. So initially when you book the invoice register, so what will happen, these 2 lines is your invoice register entry, the first 2 lines. Okay, so when you book your approval invoice, what will happen, this is the reversal of the invoice register, and this line and the last line is your actual transaction where your expenses getting debited and your vendor balance is getting credited. Okay, so to utilize this particular concept with the help of invoice register and invoice approval, invoice pool is nothing but the staging table. Okay, it's clear, Prashant?
Yes,
When we will utilize this one?
Yes, clear.
So liquidity account for is nothing but it's utilized for the making the frequent payments to the vendor. Okay, and if you have any advance payment to the vendor, in that case we need to map the sales tax for the prepayment. So prepayment is nothing but when you creating the advance invoice against this particular vendor, and if you have tax on that, so we will define that particular tax account what need to be hit. So we will select that particular tax account over here. Okay, so that is the vendor posting profile. Okay, then if you have any more doubts, you can raise it. It's open to you on the accounts payable.
Sir, if we created a new vendor, in that we selected vendor group as something 10 or 20, like a service vendor or local vendor. Based on the main account get mapped.
Based on that, it will be triggered your posting profile.
Yeah.
Okay, let's imagine you have defined vendor group as 60. Okay, but in your posting profile, it doesn't define the vendor group as 60. Okay, so it will pick the all. In all, we have defined for rest all the vendor group, we have defined one common ledger account, right?
Main
So it will pick that. In case if we have selected the vendor group, if we have defined at the table level and we have selected that particular vendor account, then it will be take that particular vendor account base posting profile.
Okay.
Okay. Any more query?
Yes. No.
Okay then. See you tomorrow, and we will start our new module called account receivable. So we will go in more detail in the account receivable module. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay then. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gautam.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you so much.